Welcome to part two. we just froze.
Sorry, the television got a fright from Ricardo's shirt.
Yeah, I've had a lot of interest actually in my shirt. There's a lot of Dennis Huntley is convinced that it is the same shirt that I wore in Studio 54.
Can we go back to the Crusaders?
Yeah, the Crusaders. Let's have a look at the Crusaders match against Rebels.
With a good hit up, and Powell wants to go to the short side, double round, takes him on, then flings it out to Spate with a bit of room. Spate early on, caught them napping down the short side. What a start, Brumbies!
Brumbies up 5-0.
Good win by Adam Bidwell Curtis. And Tamani Valo got a beautiful ball back to Bateman, and he slides across, and there's the hit back. And Crotty, kick pass across for Dag. Oh, was that a high shot? Accidental. Penny, a bit reckless there. He'll take it out and go to the short side. Mate Ali takes him on, crashes over in the tackle of Powell. It's another try to the Crusaders. And now Todd in the open, one to beat. Over it goes to Mate Ali. He cuts back in field and he strides across. And he's got a double.
So where do you see?
How good is Matt Todd?
Unbelievable.
I just think he's outstanding.
Don't you think people like Matt Todd are the backbone of our rugby? That you know, when the All Blacks need him, he's there. He fronts. He always plays at 85-90% week in, week out. Does his job.
What do you mean 85-90%? Plays at 100%?
No one's perfect apart from you, but most people aren't perfect, so there's always room to improve. Is that not right?
No, I don't know. I would say he gives 100% every
Oh, he
week.
gives 100%.
Yeah, and he's still here, re-signed. You know, he's the reason why you win test matches. You know, great competition. Keep someone like Sam Cane, who's been outstanding, honest. You know, and you'd be really confident if something happened and he started or ran on. But, you know, you see his lines for the Crusaders, and he just tracks people with the right depth and the right angle, and he's there to offload. I mean, that last try where he gets it and then throws a, 30-yard pass on the run. Awesome.
And how big a difference does Wilgenia make for the Rebels?
Well, if the Rebels go forward, Wilgenia is still one of the best halves in the world. You cannot let them get forward. And early in the season, when they're on form, they were getting over their advantage line. And Wilgenia, when the defence is going backwards a bit and he starts darting around the fringes, he is incredibly dangerous. So the big challenge for the Crusaders, and they'll know this because Razor's a smart man, is absolutely winning the contact point, both on attack and defence.
Piers just asked Pierre Noel, how was that tackle on Dag not a red card? Well, it basically wasn't in the game, but the judiciary's decided it was a red card, and I think he's got 5 weeks.
Yeah, this is something that I'd like to throw out to all you viewers.
Both of them.
What do you think? Yeah, all three of you. What do you think of like putting on report and not red carding? Now, I'm not saying that shouldn't have been a red card, because it should have been a red card, and especially with Izzy getting injured. So, but my question is, more severe penalties, but not detracting from the game. So I don't know, do we have something where you go, you're on report, fellow, and afterwards he gets 8 weeks because it's so bad?
I don't know. I mean, I quite like the system, that the referee makes a judgment call, and
no, the referee doesn't make any judgment calls anymore.
Well, the TMO,
he goes upstairs.
Yeah, and then if it's not right, then the judiciary has the ability to get it right later, which is the same as being on report, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the argument is probably that, if you don't do it, then, guys will go out and do stuff on intentional. But I don't believe that. I don't think there's too many people that are that sort of, facetious.
Evil.
Well, you were when you played, but
yeah. Now, one of the big improvers in the Super Rugby this year has been the Jaguares. They've won in Australia, and then
they're in the top 8.
Yeah, and there looks like a really sense of self-belief. We went along and covered their training, and they were playing music really loudly in the middle of the field when they were doing their grids and stuff, to just get them in, to make it feel like home.
Was it the Gypsy Kings?
It was the Gypsy Kings, I think. Yeah.
Bailey,
I think it was your
Bailey,
CD
Bailey. Yeah.
from 1986.
That
but
was great. 1986, I told the team told me to don't ever play that, JK. This is old CD. This is how old I am. Don't ever play that music again, JK. That's horrible music. And when we got to Argentina, they were all asking me where the CD was.
But back to Jaguares. I mean, you know.
Sorry to bore you, Ricardo.
Your music, you
My
go
Gypsy
through your
King
music
song.
collection. But what's changed? What's changed from last year to this year?
Oh, well, discipline. So
Yeah.
last year they had the highest yellow cards, and Lavignoli, the guy Lavignini, he either got a red or a yellow every game. I think they've understood the balance between, you know, how they play, which is one of their strengths. I mean, the worst thing that happened to the Blues was a horrible day, and not that that's an excuse, but you know, mauling, having a tight game, big scrum is what the Jaguares do and what Argentina has done. So, you know, for me, they've got a back line that's making less errors under pressure. You know, you'd see them last year and they'd put a nice move together and the last pass might go behind the guy. So they just got a little bit more accuracy, and wins give you confidence, just like losses, you know, turn the other way. And they've got close early in the season and past seasons, but they haven't won them. And they sort of fall off the horse. But this time they've come down away games, won them, started to, you know, do things like beating the New Zealand franchise for the first time. And that just gives you confidence. It's a bit easier to train, you know, it's a bit easier to travel. And at the end of the day, they are 3/4 of the Argentinian team.
So that's why we're being positive about the game at Eden Park in the rain. When the Jaguares won, and the Blues lost.
Again, it's Petty. This time they time the counter drive, but they've got it nicely set. Creevy in the back. Banks joining in, going sideways. Now they go towards the line and gets it down. Leaves it now for Uru. Pedofeta floats it wide. Try. Getting very close now. Ioane. That's Rico. Ball squirts out. Pedofeta gets rid of it quickly. Duffy. Oh, he's over. Oh, what a finish. Got a bit of space out here on the left though. Kukulet. Orlando. And in for the try is Boffelli. Comes out the back. De La Fuente drives towards the line. Now the charge coming from Lozana. And he's over. And the Jaguares are in front. Time up. They just need to get it in and out. Blues put the shove on. They kick it dead. History at Eden Park.
Anyway, well, great for the Jaguares, not so good for the Blues, but an interesting selection today for the Blues. Caleb Clark.
Yeah.
On the wing.
Yeah, that's exciting. And Jason, you asked what that is, photos behind us. That is the Bledisloe Cup, and Michael Jones and just this other random that jumped in on the photo. So great observation there from home, mate. But
Caleb Clark.
Pretty special day. Caleb Clark. He has the legs and the mully of his old man, so he's got a big power base. I like him because he's low to the ground. He's a really mature young man. I met him a few times, and I think he's going to be pretty special. Big, powerful steps at pace. And look, as far as Tana's concerned, you might as well start blooding some of these guys, right? He's the rugby union or the Blues have shown some confidence in him, saying, look, more than likely to be here next year. So, you know, you got to start saying, well, what is next year? And someone like Caleb getting a crack at it is important.
Now, obviously, you know, wingers quite often make a name for themselves when they're young, subject that you know something about. What's the mentality of saying, you know, this guy's a couple of years out of school, we're going, we think you're good enough?
Well, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And I think New Zealand has always had that philosophy, you know. Rico picked him, put him straight into a test match. Caleb's been... Jonah, yeah.
Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. So
John Kerwin.
Caleb has been George Napier
Okay, I remember watching George Napier.
Craig Wicks.
Yeah, Craig Wicks. Yeah.
He was the youngest, I think.
Yeah,
I think it went George Napier, Craig Wicks, Jonah, me.
Right.
I think. Yeah. But anyway, getting back to Caleb, I think also, he's been playing wing and centre, but for me, it's just a great opportunity to get him out there. Just play footy, mate, and he's good enough, so get him out.
So they play the Waratahs, the Blues. The Australian press are already talking up, but finally the Australian team's get a chance to break the hoodoo, which is, good confidence. But they bring Folau back, which makes a big difference to the Waratahs.
Yeah, and look, the Waratahs, for me, have probably been, for whatever reason, underachieving a wee bit, and probably with consistency. When they play well, they're good, right? Very good. They just have been inconsistent over the last couple of seasons, whether that's a mental thing. They can smell a little bit of blood in the water, and so I think they'll be after the Blues, although I've got this gut feeling that the Blues are going to win.
So do I.
I think they've got Jerome back.
Pulu's starting.
Yeah, Pulu's starting.
Back.
He changes. But Patrick, I saw some really good signs of what he can do in his last game. He was, accelerating onto the ball, breaking through tackles, and that's what he needs to be doing. He needs to be getting good depth on the ball, really crashing, hitting those half gaps and just driving forward. We need go forward against the Waratahs, and we need some special performances.
Bryce had a good suggestion, which was bringing back Buck.
Yep, that'd be a good idea.
So we're talking about under Australian and New Zealand clashes. There's a great clash coming up at the end of this week, which is in the under 20s. So before we talk about New Zealand and Australia, let's catch up with the New Zealand performance against Fiji.
Heavy run. Ryan will end up with the cheeky offload during the contact. Fiji. Oh, they just watched him slide right by. Tremaine. William Tremaine hoodwinks the defence.
Whoa! So dangerous tackle. He's landed in a really dangerous position. The red card.
That's Billy Proctor done for the game. Penalty will go against Rush for not rolling away. Rose, some very fancy flick passing New Zealand. They've got momentum going forward. Puts it into the hands of Flanders. Sending it out wide. Here's Tellier. Tellier fends one. And Tellier in the corner of Punivai. Box kick from Renton off the left foot. Very cheeky indeed. It's a foot race. Oh, and he has got some speed. Can he regather? And that's a great try. They've got space. They've got numbers. Inside ball. Very tricky. Back to Plummer. Gregory's there, but Plummer, will he need him? Plummer, was that a try? Oh, let's see it in slow motion. Oh,
that was special.
Yeah, it's close. It was close to a try. So
was it not a try?
Yeah, we'll give it. Yeah, it looked like a try from here.
That's the sort of acrobatics you expect from a Fijian side. I mean, it was highlighted by some of the Australian media that their problem is that their under-20s have been poor for the last few years. And it's interesting that this is not the World Cup. This is a warm-up because the New Zealand side identified when we lost to New Zealand that the under-20s are coming through as Six Nations over in Northern Hemisphere. And so I'll be really interested to see, because we have the highest conversion rate of under-20 players that then go on to play for their national side. Yep. And Australia need, if they want to be competitive in the future, they need to be very, very good at this level, because not only need to be good at this level, you've got to have a good conversion rate of those guys going on and making it.
Because going back into the Stone Age when you played it was under 21s, you had the Colts.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I think you lost in the under 21s to Australia, didn't you?
Yeah, but that's irrelevant.
I'm just thinking some of the players.
Why are you bringing it up? It's irrelevant.
Well, some of the players that were in that under 21 side for Australia.
We're talking about this.
Campese, Liner.
Yeah.
The guy that smashed his shoulder. What was his name?
Matt Burke.
Was one of my favourite players. I mean they had that conversion rate.
Totally irrelevant.
What I'm saying is, back then they had that conversion rate.
Oh, is that what you're trying to get at?
Yeah.
You just weren't trying to highlight
so
the losses.
when I'm saying something, you're not listening. You're attacking.
Well, why did you bring it up 21s from 19, whatever it was,
63.
long time ago, exactly?
And talking about young wingers, I can't believe you left BG Williams out.
I didn't leave BG out.
We were talking about young wingers, and you never mentioned Brian Williams. You're sulking now?
Yep.
Oh, yeah? Well, while you're sulking, we saw something on Instagram. Actually, if anyone's out there on Instagram, please follow JK, because it's actually quite embarrassing. Like your tags JK Rugby, JK14 Rugby.
Correct.
JK14 Rugby. Please, if you know how to work Instagram, get on there and just follow him, because all the great players of the world, have 100,000 or 200,000, or Dan Carter's got like 4 million followers.
I don't care. I care because he's got more than me.
And how many have you got?
That is ridiculous. I've got 40.
You got 800.
I've got 870
something.
Yeah. And how many have you got?
I've got 14,000, but I'm quite a big deal.
So I want to beat him.
So just to give you an idea, JK, this is what Instagram is.
Oh, really?
This is something that we saw from Dan Carter's Instagram, who's got 4 million followers. It's just showing us the longest tunnel in European rugby.
I've played there.
Okay, so this is where we played today, and I feel like I have to take you for a little journey from the field to the changing rooms. It is a long, long way. And when you're absolutely buggered at half time, you have to walk this corridor. Played a lot of stadiums in my time, and this is by far the furthest I've had to walk from the pitch. Okay, I'll speed this up. Okay, we're getting there, about halfway. So the worst is yet to come. Almost there. Walk nice and fast here. Now this, you actually can't see how steep this is, but this is the killer part. Quite a wee puff on there, but beautiful stadium. Probably the last time I'll play here, but yeah, quite a walk that one to the change rooms.
So that's like a selfie.
Well, how does he turn the camera around?
Does he? There's a button.
Is there?
Yeah. So there's a camera on your button that turns around and points at you.
Really?
Yeah, it's just little things.
I was going to say that person holding that phone's a bit close, eh?
But you will master Instagram. And Artie Ray, I think, came in with a good question about Rika Ioane playing at 12 a lot this season. How does that affect you if you're trying to make the Test winger spot, which he was last year and one of the best in the world?
I don't think it'll affect his selection at all.
But how does it affect you as a
haven't
player?
finished.
Well, I was just gonna.
I haven't finished.
Okay.
I haven't finished answering your first question.
All right.
Well, it wasn't your question. It was from
Artie.
Artie. So I tend to agree with you, and not a criticism. I think I'd swap them or play inside outside. I think Ledger is better suited to 12. He's got a late step when he's running at pace. He's got that little jink. Whereas I think Rico with a little bit more space would really, really threaten the defence. I'm sure, there's a solid reason for it. And I know Ledger's only young, so he might not be comfortable there, whatever. But I don't think it'll affect his selection. But I do think he's way more dangerous at centre. So it's an interesting selection, actually.
No, the Hurricanes, just before we go, the Hurricanes, they've left Vince Arso out because they have to fit everyone in. I mean, they are such a dangerous team because everyone's coming back to fitness and they've got so many game breakers. Yeah,
I mean, I thought that was that would keep you awake at night as a coach. I mean, they're good problems to have, but I'm sure it was a hard decision because Vince, did he get a hat trick last week?
Well, he could have got like 4 tries, but I think half of them got disallowed. Yeah,
but he got a hat trick.
Did he, or did he get 2? I can't remember. He got a double.
Oh, did he not get a hat trick?
No, he got 2. But you probably allowed 1. But they play the Lions. So the Lions, one of the form teams from South Africa, a little bit up and down early on, but they're starting to, so what's going to happen there?
Well, the Lions are there or thereabouts. The Hurricanes win.
Yep.
The Hurricanes win because I just think they are more complete.
Bryce Jennings, I think you've got the wrong idea, mate. They just asked me if they're bell bottoms. My jeans.
I was talking about his jeans last week, and I reckon if he waits long enough, they are going to come back bell bottoms.
Welcome to the Fashion Hour with Ric Salizzo.
And he's actually sitting here. Can we show his feet?
No.
Yeah, put your feet up, Ricardo. He is not wearing shoes.
Well, because it's late. I was going to have slippers, and I just didn't think it was a good look. So you got the Hurricanes beating the Lions. You got the Blues beating the Waratahs.
Correct.
You've got the Crusaders beating the Rebels.
Yes, I have.
And you got the Highlanders beating the Sharks in Durban.
No.
You got
No.
the Sharks winning.
Yes.
All right. We just offended everyone in Dunedin. And what about the Chiefs are playing, I think, the Jaguares in Rotorua? How do you think that's going to go?
Chiefs will win. Although I see they're resting
Retallick.
the big unit. So, they will miss him, especially with such a big forward battle. But yeah, I think the Jaguares will be pretty happy with their
It's interesting,
away.
Jaguares, because it's sort of like, do you sort of go, do you sort of button off a bit as a player? Because, you know what, it's like the desperation's gone because we've got our first win in New Zealand. We've got a win in Australia, or does that give you confidence against the Chiefs?
Well, I've seen you button off in a few games, but I don't think that people button off.
Don't they?
No.
But that hunger, that sort of desperation that I've got to do it, I've got to prove it.
Which part of no didn't you understand? People don't button off. And the difference is sort of 4 or 5%.
Yeah.
And I think with the Latin people, being away from home this long, and maybe they'll just be a little bit ready to get on the plane and go home and have some asados.
I'm Latin. I've been away from home for 50 odd years, and I'm feeling pretty hungry. So that was Feed the Backs. We got there.
The late night Feed the Backs.
The late night Feed the Backs. Time to go to bed.
Good night.
Separate houses.